So the next person on the roster here is going to be the chair of Peel Police Board. His name is Ron Chata, and he's a very, he supports the community all the time. So I'll just invite him here so that he can talk about why securities and laws and what are the things which you should be taking care of.
Thank you for the invite. Okay. I was a bit worried what is there, but now I figure it out. Thank you for inviting me here, and it's my honor and pleasure to be here and connect all of you, many familiar faces here. If I start naming, I guess my 15 minutes will pass by, but one thing I can say, over the past decade, I have made some great friends, and many of them are sitting here. And I'm very honored to call them my close friends, my brothers, and part of our Canadian extended family. I'm here as my role as a chair of Peel Police Services Board, which is about 1 month old. Not too long, but I'm on the board since last year. Thank you. Mainly, the Gujarat Public Affairs Council of Canada is doing this great initiative. It's a much-needed initiative. Many students, and they are in 100,000s in the numbers, they are here from a country where we all came from, or majority of us came from. And when they integrate with today's Canadian system, there are so many challenges, especially safety related, obviously, but somehow the policing and the safety is more connected with many other subjects. That was wonderful information given by Saab, who was here before me. Not only students, obviously, I was also enjoying and get to know more and more. But today, what our role is about how we can be safe and secure while the new Canadians are here and they are trying to integrate within the Canadian society. I'll have with me one of the fine police officer from Peel Police. If you can join me, please, Mr. Sunny Deol.
And what other name you can have?
Exactly.
But Sunny Deol, guys.
Right. So not only Modi ji has Sunny Deol, we have a Sunny Deol here as well, right? So any of your questions, and he'll talk more about how our operations are and what the students need to know about the policing here in Peel region or in Canada, what type of police we have. There are different types. Some of them are at the federal level, and then some other layers of policing we have seen, like back home and here. Just my one topic I really want to touch, especially to the students or all of us. Lately, what we have seen, many hit and run cases. The moment it's in the winter days, it gets dark early. Anyone who's walking, make sure you are visible. Make sure you have proper clothing for outside, and especially when we cross the intersections. Sometimes those drivers, they don't really see you if you are not visible, and then unfortunate incidents happen. So it's not only to the students, obviously that's our responsibility, especially within the senior clubs. Many of us, we have some credible, good senior clubs here. Many of them are from South Asian background. I came to this venue many times in the past for many of those senior clubs. And when they cross the road, make sure it's our responsibility as a citizen to talk in our families, to talk wherever we go, whether they are the new Canadians, the students, or our elder parents are. So that is one of my main concern. It came in my mind, so I thought I should share. But I'll pass on the microphone to our fellow from the, Mr. Deol from the police department.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, the organizers and everyone here for having me here today.
Let me just pass on. Yeah.
I don't know where you're going to put it.
Yeah.
So like Ron said, I'm going to give you a brief overview. You want me to stay here? Of of policing in Canada. So we'll start off with municipal police. This is the big regions with large populations or large cities. So Toronto Police, the region of Peel, we have Mississauga and Brampton. And then you got, for example, York, you got Vaughan, Markham, Richmond Hill. Then we go into a provincial level and we got the Ontario Police, OPP. Now they police the highways and the small villages and the small cities that can't have a bigger police force. Lastly, we have the federal police, the RCMP, and this is broad all over Canada. Same thing like the OPP in terms of small cities, so they will police those areas. If you can just. So this is pretty obvious. My uniform, this is how Peel Police is, and if you guys are going to school in the region of Peel, this would be the uniform. It also shows you the different diversity that we have in the region of Peel, the different cultures and the backgrounds that make our police force. OPP is the black uniform with a yellow police rating. Unless you're driving on the highways, you don't have to worry too much, or if you live in Caledon. And then the RCMP, their uniforms, the ceremonial uniforms are red, and their actual road uniforms are the gray ones, the bottom right there. So the police stations in Regional Peel, we have two in Brampton. We have one at basically Steeles and Her, Ontario. The one that's closest to us is Bramley City Centre. And then you got two in Mississauga, Erin Mills, and Dixie Road. And then lastly, we have one at the airport. So what is 911 is when you call 911, the first question they're going to ask you is, do you want police, fire, or ambulance? If you do not say a single word, all three of them are coming, okay? One thing that people from the background in India, my grandparents, grandmother, for example, when they used to call India, sometimes they would forget that 011, 911. So if by mistake you do call 911, just remember, just say that is a mistake. It's gonna slow us down. If you guys don't say anything, then we think it's an emergency and we're gonna rush there. So, just back up, sorry. So what is an emergency? Basically, it's right here. So if you were gonna call 911, the first picture with a fire, you would say that I need fire. The bottom left is a heart attack, you would say ambulance, and then the last one, accident, it could be all three. You can go. And then bylaws. So each city, Brampton and Mississauga, has their own bylaws. There's a different set of rules. A lot of them are very similar to each other. There's just very little differences. So noise complaints, walking a dog without a leash, smoking, no parking, littering, and then snow removal. The issue with snow removal is remember that once it snows, basically have around 24 hours to shovel it, and this is the sidewalks, really. And for the summer, remember, it goes for grass cutting as well. If you do not cut your grass and it just goes higher and higher, you're devaluing the properties that are around you, and the city does not like that. Provincial laws, the main thing for newcomers is basically handheld devices. Sorry, you can click it one more time. So that's basically a cell phone and driving. Now there's been rules and the fines have increased, I think, 2 or 3 times now. And basically the fine that is right now is up to $1,000 and 3-day license suspension. So this is the biggest concern, this is the biggest issues that are causing the road accidents. The Criminal Code of Canada is laws across Canada. Now, you guys are from India, it's basically the same rules at the end of the day, it's just different wording, different punishments. Same thing, you can't rob someone, you can't fight, no guns, illegal guns, mischief, drugs, and then drinking and driving, which is also a big issue in the region of Peel. Another issue that we're facing in Region of Peel is domestic violence, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, common law. Sorry about that. And And these can be different occurrences, different crimes. So uttering threats, nothing that's physical there, it's just a threat, but it's also because it's domestic violence. As police, we will be arresting someone. Okay, criminal harassment, homicide, obviously, and then mischief, forcible confinement. It's just that in our region, domestics have been a little bit higher, so this is one method. We also have a domestic violence report where we have to go and try to figure out the history and what happened, what led to these. You can go next. For you guys, home security, personal security, fraud, social media, and internet safety. Home security, a lot of people don't know that the front door, over 60% of the break-in enters are from the front door. You can get a 12-year-old boy to kick it in. It is very easy to break the front door. Some security things that you can do with that is put a steel plate around. Very cheap from Home Depot. In the region of Peel, we have a lot of crimes that are crimes of opportunity. So that means if you have a car, you're at a mall, some kind of shopping, and you have bags in the back, that's a crime of opportunity. No one is there, they see everything, they can break the window and take it. So keep your stuff in the trunk, keep it away from people that they don't see it. Frauds, I will talk about that a little bit later. Social media, when you are applying for a job, just remember that they do background checks. Everything that you post, your views, if they're good or bad, whatever they are, they'll be able to see them. And then that goes for internet safety, same thing. So the biggest scams, there have been two people that have been arrested. There's a CRA scam and immigration scam. Personally, I received a call saying that my dad was arrested and he's sitting beside me. The whole point of this is they would call and see if they can get someone that's scared enough and get money out of them. Now these scams, just remember one thing, a lot of these agencies don't call, they always send letters. So if you're receiving a call, ask for the person's name, cut the phone. You can Google CRA or you can Google immigration, get their number and say, hey, John called me and he said this. And they will tell you that this is all fake, okay? Lastly, just the Peel Police numbers. We got the non-emergency number, for example. So if it's emergency, we talked about those 3 pictures there, but as a non-emergency, if someone's bike got stolen or something, that is not an emergency. So this will be the number that you call. It's on the side of every police car. We have our website. If you are struggling with English, the top right corner, there's a little tab there. There's 26 languages that you can pick from, and it'll translate the whole website. And then we have Crime Stoppers, which is basically a program where if you see a crime that's being committed and you don't want to give your information, I don't want to give my name, phone number, address, you can provide any message to them, give any details about the crime, and you will stay anonymous. They will not ask any questions from you. They'll give you I think it's a 5 or 6 digit number. You'll call about 2 months later, said, hey, I gave you this information, there's people selling drugs on the side of my street. And you'll say, is anyone arrested? Is there anything that came out of this? If they say, thank you, yes, someone was arrested, what they will do is they'll tell you go to the bank, provide that number, you provide it to the teller, no questions asked, the teller will give you money or reward for your tip. Okay, and next one, sorry. Oh, that was the last one? Okay. Any questions? Yes?
How do we differentiate by putting the international student and the local PR citizens while the lower enforcement?
For us, it's the same, no matter what it is. A crime is a crime at the end of the day. We are going to arrest if it's arrestable, and if charged, then it goes through courts, and then whatever happens in courts with punishment, and then if immigration gets involved, that's separate. But for us, if the person is PR citizen, it does not matter. If someone's committing a crime, it's a crime.
Is there any specific that students should take care as an international student while they're
Their biggest issues is the scams and the road safety that Mr. Ron talked about, pedestrian. One thing that I can add about that is if it's dark at night and you're wearing all black clothing, and no one can see you. Even if you are the right of way, a car is made out of metal and plastic, you're skin and bones. It doesn't matter if the car is wrong at that point if you're not alive. So the biggest issue is the pedestrian. If you look at almost every intersection, it has a light pole. So a lot of people stand right at the edge, and sometimes when people are making right, especially if it's a truck, it just cuts through. If you're on your phone not paying attention, then you won't know. So if you stay behind that light pole, you're covered. If a car does hit you, at least you got that security or something like that. Okay.